Hello, my name is Mariah Clark. I'm the Youth Recruitment Coordinator for Northwest Youth Corps. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about Northwest Youth Corps and what it is that we do. I'm very excited that you're here to learn more about the organization, and I hope that I can highlight why our programs are a great opportunity to gain work experience and skills, all while benefiting our natural environment. Northwest Youth Corps was founded in 1984 and was based on the Civilian Conservation Corps principles. The Civilian Conservation Corps was enacted in the 1930s and was part of the New Deal legislature. This was a program that allowed people to give back to their community and the country through service projects that revolved around conservation. Northwest Youth Corps has taken this model, the Civilian Conservation Corps model, and we've shrunk it down to the Pacific Northwest rather than the entire country. And we offer programs that challenge and empower youth of all genders to develop leaders through teamwork, education, and outdoor service. So I've been using this word conservation a little bit, and I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about what that is. So conservation is the preservation, protection, and restoration of the natural environment and of wildlife. So we've got a couple examples of what conservation can look like. Those examples include making sure that the resources we have available to us today are available to future generations, whether those resources are water, land, timber, clean air, or many other natural resources. Conservation is there to ensure they are available for future generations. Another aspect of conservation is assuring the survival of the plants and animals we all know and love. So many plants and animals only thrive in certain ecological zones, and if their habitat is damaged or changed in a certain way, i.e. like climate change, other non-native species can take over that habitat, and it can really start a negative snowball effect of lots of issues. We can help protect these areas through the conservation work that we do. And lastly, conservation work is incredibly important for ensuring that the places we hold near and dear to our hearts will also be there in their natural state for generations after us to enjoy. National park sites are a great example of this. Yellowstone National Park was established in 1872 and is still there today for everyone's enjoyment, especially due to some very influential people that felt protecting the environment was important for our country and its citizens. Not only the protection, but the enjoyment of our environment. So now that we've talked a little bit about what conservation work is, or what conservation is, I want to tell you a little bit about what conservation work looks like and how Northwest Youth Corps engages in it. So Northwest Youth Corps projects are typically going to be habitat restoration, fence construction, maybe some trail maintenance and or creation, and some invasive species removal, as well as a whole bunch more. The next slides are going to give you a quick little overview of what some of these may look like. So this slide is a crew doing some trail maintenance. As you can see, the crew members in the middle on their hands and knees, they're arranging rocks in a little culvert that is next to a trail. And then on the, let's see if I can do this right. On the right side of the screen, you'll see like there's an incline. So this is a trail on a hill or a mountain of some kind. So if you look at the trail on the left side of the screen, you'll see that there's some water erosion. This crew is putting these rocks in this culvert that runs parallel to the trail. So any future storms, when there's a lot of runoff, it will run parallel to the trail instead of running over it and washing it away so people can't use it. This is really a very important piece of trail maintenance, especially out here in the Pacific Northwest, where it rains all the time. This is another example of trail maintenance. This trail crew, it looks like they're widening the trail. As we know, over time, you know, the earth is going to take back everything. And so over time, this the native vegetation has encroached upon the trail and made it a little narrower than it should be. So this crew is out there making sure that the trail meets proper specifications and whatnot. This is also looks like it's central Eastern Oregon, and that's where I'm originally from. So this looks like a really fun project for me. And here we have fence construction. This is a kind of obvious picture, but I just want to talk about why we do fence construction and why it's considered conservation work for a second. Um, you'll see a lot of fence construction around BLM land, as well as where there's a lot of ranches. So Eastern Oregon and Idaho will do a lot of this as well. But fence construction is very important for keeping animals in or out of specific areas. So for instance, a lot of ranchers are allowed to graze their cattle on certain areas of BLM land. And so we help erect fences to keep cattle in those certain areas and the wildlife in the other areas. This is also really great for rehabilitating wildlife. Vegetation to keep wildlife out of it from trampling over it. And then going off of that vegetation, this is an example of both habitat restoration and invasive species removal, which I think is really cool. Like we mentioned earlier, protecting a species habitat is very crucial, not only for that species' health, but for the overall ecosystem's health. So this is an example of a crew pulling beach grass. So this is invasive species removal because this variant of beach grass is not native to the Oregon coast. And it's also habitat restoration because if any of you are familiar with the coast, you know we have a lot of sand dunes. Those are a very naturally forming structure, and they're actually very flexible and they move quite a lot with the wind. But this beach grass prevents those dunes from moving and flowing with their the natural ebb and flow of their movement. So this is kind of, feeding two birds with one stone, pulling invasive species, but also allowing the dunes to freely move, which is really exciting. A couple other examples of invasive species are Himalayan blackberry, and if you're from the Portland area, you'll know all about the ivy. So where we work, I mentioned earlier that Northwest Youth Corps covers the Pacific Northwest, which is true. We are based in Oregon with employees in Washington and Idaho, and the majority of our crews do work in these three states. Occasionally we'll go into Northern California, but for the most part, we do work in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. I do want to note that our organization in Idaho is actually branded as Idaho Conservation Corps. So we are the same organization, but we do have different titles and organization names, despite having the same leadership and the same board of directors. Okay, so I've talked about kind of who Northwest Youth Corps is, what conservation is, what you would be doing if you got involved with us. And now I want to talk about the programs that we have available to youth. Our first program is our community program. This is a 5-week day program, so a Monday through Friday program, and is available for kids ages 14 to 18 years old. If you're 14 years old, I do urge you to reach out to us before submitting an application. We just need to confirm that our project partners are accepting 14-year-olds. And once we make that confirmation, you can move forward with the application process. The community program is a really great first step into conservation. And it's also a great way to give back to your community through service projects. So this is a program that is going to be easier for you to participate in if you live in one of the areas it's located. We have community programs in the Eugene-Springfield area, Hebo, Oregon, which is a town on the coast near Lincoln City, and Portland, Oregon. And then we have community crews in Tacoma and Olympia, Washington as well. So if you live in or near one of these areas, this is a great opportunity for you to kind of get introduced to conservation work. You would meet your crew at a designated pickup location, and then you would go out. We provide transportation. You go out to your work site, you work for the day, and then you come back to that pickup site, and your parents, loved ones, guardians can pick you up and take you home. So it's a really great, like I mentioned, day program. You get nights and weekends off. It's a really great opportunity to give back to your community and also gain a little hands-on experience in the conservation realm. I do want to note that this program is only available in the summer. We have 2 sessions, a June to July and a July to August session for each location. Our next program is a little bit more in depth, and it's our camping program. This is available for kids age 16 to 19. This is also a 5-week program. We do have one that is 4 weeks, but the majority of them are 5. And as I mentioned on the previous couple of slides ago, we have camping crews in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, which is very exciting. These programs run spring, summer, and fall, which is really awesome. So there's more opportunities to participate. I do just want to mention that the spring and fall programs are Oregon only, but you don't have to live in Oregon to participate in the Oregon program. You can live in any state in the country to participate in our programs, which is really amazing. One of the other really cool pros to the camping program is the fact that you'll get to travel to different project sites throughout your time on crew. So you could start, if you're on the Oregon crew, you could start working down at Crater Lake National Park for a week, and then maybe you'll spend the next 2 weeks out in Eastern Oregon in the John Day Fossil Bed and the Painted Hill area. Then you could go up to Mount Hood for a week, and you could finish out at the Oregon coast. So you have an opportunity to see a wide variety of ecosystems and climates throughout the Pacific Northwest, which is really amazing. There's also an opportunity for backpacking options. We do have some other crews that go into the backcountry. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us as well. I do want to lift up before going into the benefits some of our single identity crews. Northwest Youth Corps believes that the outdoors should be open and accessible and inclusive to all, regardless of identity or ability. Excuse me. So on that note, we have the following DEI crews. We have an integrated single identity crew with our ASL or deaf and hard of hearing crew. This is for people, as I just mentioned, who identify as deaf and or hard of hearing. This is an amazing crew that does a lot of hard work. We just hired an ASL coordinator, and he's doing a lot of great work to rebuild this program from the ground up. The leaders of this program will be hearing, but also fluent in ASL for safety reasons. Then we have our LGBTQIA+ or Rainbow Inclusion Crew. This is a single identity crew for those who identify within the LGBT community. And is a really, really great opportunity to not only gain this hands-on conservation experience, but to be in community with those that identify as well under the LGBT umbrella. This crew is super amazing and very hardworking as well. And I believe in 2019, they actually earned a Crew of the Year award from the Conservation Corps Network, I believe, for the work that they did up in Washington State. Last but certainly not least, we have our Tribal Stewards Inclusion Crew. I'm very excited to say that this program has actually been opened up this year. Previously, the youth program was only available to Indigenous youth enrolled in the Chemawa boarding school out of Salem. But with the onboarding of our new Tribal Stewards Inclusion Coordinator last year, we have since made changes to that program, and it is available to all Indigenous youth at this point. So if you are interested in one of these 3 programs, or if you have family or friends who would be interested, please let them know that we have these and that they have this amazing and wonderful opportunity available to them. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the benefits of our program. The first and honestly most exciting one is that you get paid for the work that you're going to do with us. We're not asking you to come out here and do free labor for us. We are absolutely going to pay you for the work that you do. Our community members, because it's a day program, you earn $250 a week, and our camping members earn $300 a week. Both program members have the opportunity to earn up to $250 in bonuses for safety, dependability, and program completion. That bonus is awarded on a weekly basis at the discretion of your crew leader, and you have to complete the program to get any of your bonus. So if you leave for some reason 3 weeks into the program, you'll get your pay for that 3 weeks, but you won't earn any of the bonus. Some of the other benefits to the program, aside from getting paid, you get to make a significant positive impact to communities across the Pacific Northwest. A lot of the places that you will be sent on crew are going to be a little more on the rural and remote side. And so any positive impact we can have to the surrounding environment is just going to be amazing and very, very well received. You're going to gain a lot of hands-on experience, and you're going to be able to use that to build up your resume. I can tell you one of our employees here, she can tell you how competitive that government and conservation jobs are. So if you don't have hands-on conservation experience on your resume, like our programs, it's going to be much more difficult for you to get a job in conservation. And as I mentioned in the last slide, you're going to get to travel to some amazing new places and see some really great scenery, but you're also going to make some amazing connections. I know I briefly mentioned you don't need to be from Oregon, Washington, or Idaho to do these programs. We have kids from all over the country come to participate in our programs. This last fall, we had people from Washington, D.C., New York, Virginia, Florida, all over the country fly in for these programs. So please don't let your location from the Pacific Northwest prevent you from doing our programs. If you're interested, reach out. Another benefit that we have is members have the opportunity to earn high school credit for participating in our program, both community and camping. We call our curriculum SEED, or something educational, every day. And every day there will be a lesson that comprises natural processes, ecological systems. There may be some career and life skill lessons. You'll learn about human impact on the environment, some civics, and a whole bunch more. Northwest Youth Corps has worked with the Eugene 4J School District to kind of figure out what these lessons would earn participants in credits, and we have come upon the agreement of 1 career and technical education credit, or if your district doesn't have that, you can get an elective credit, and then 1 physical education credit, because you're going to be doing a lot of hard physical work. I do want to lift up that the awarding of these credits is left up to the counselors and your school district. We can provide supporting documentation like course outlines and workbooks and things like that. Unfortunately, we are not able to provide transcripts at this point. And this is something that we really pride ourselves on because this is also one of the ways that you're going to really build up your resume. Getting your foot in the door to these kinds of topics is really just going to put you that much farther ahead of other people. So we do have some costs to our programs. Both crews have a tuition, which I'll go into on the next slide. There's also going to be some gear costs for both programs. It's going to be a little more expensive for the community program, the camping program than the community program, specifically because food and hygiene is also included in the cost for the camping program. And then travel arrangements. I know I mentioned this a little bit on the community slide, but for community members, you are responsible for getting yourself to and from the pickup location every day. Camping members, you are only responsible for getting yourself to the orientation location at the beginning of session and then back home from the graduation location at the end of session. We provide transportation from pickup and orientation locations to the work site, between different work sites. Other than that, you are responsible for travel. I do also want to highlight that we have a lot of scholarship opportunities. So please don't let the cost of our programs prevent you from even applying. Our scholarship application is a part of the application, which I'll go into a little bit more in depth here in a minute. All right, so this is the slide this is a great time to maybe pause and take a picture or a screenshot. This is just a good overview of kind of what programs are in each state and how much they cost. I do just want to lift up the Washington camping tuition. Washington 1, so the June to July session is 4 weeks. So that program is $180. Every other camping program is going to be $225. And our community programs are $125. Spring and fall, however, are $50. And then we also have leadership and young adult opportunities available and internships for those who are really interested in continuing their story with us, or just furthering their trajectory towards a goal in the conservation field. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about a day in the life of the camping program specifically, simply because that's honestly our most popular program, and it is pretty in-depth. You're going to be spending 5 weeks in the field away from your friends and family, so we just want to make sure you're as prepared as possible before even applying. So a day in the life. Once you're out at your campsite and your work area, all set up and everything, sleep is the most important thing. The workday depends on your travel time to and from the work site, but you'll never work more than 8 hours in a day. This picture is a great example of the safety and stretch circle that each crew will do every morning. If you're in sports, you know the importance of warming up before you get active, and that's the same thing that this is. You're not only warming up your body, but you're chatting with each other, talking about hazards in the field that you may have seen the day before, things you need to watch out for, you're planning your day. So this is a very important team bonding exercise that happens every day. And then once you're done with this warm up, you're going to go out and work on your project. You'll have breaks and lunches during the day. And then at the end of the workday, you're going to go back to your camp. Like I mentioned earlier, the distance between your work site and your campsite, that's always going to vary depending on the project and the location. Once you get back to your campsite, you're going to have chore time, which, let's see, chore time, that will include, cleaning the tools, making sure nothing is broken, cooking dinner, packing lunch for the next day, maybe some journal reflections, things like that. And then you're going to have your seed lessons that I talked about a little bit earlier. After those lessons, you can either go to bed early or you can spend some free time bonding with your crew. We do encourage you to bring, like a deck of cards, a harmonica, a sketchbook, little things like that, so you can, enjoy your free time in the evening. So I mentioned food and cooking dinner. Crew members rotate chef positions. So 2 people every night will be tasked with cooking dinner, and it rotates. So y'all are going to learn how to cook for a lot of people on a camp stove, which is really exciting. Food costs $60 a week. This is an automatic withdrawal from that stipend that you earn. So this is not an upfront cost, which is honestly very helpful for a lot of people. At the moment, Northwest Youth Corps has the ability to accommodate vegan, vegetarian, and lactose intolerant diets. If you have any other allergies or sensitivities that aren't listed on this, please reach out to us and we'll see what we can do to provide accommodations for you. I do know that our operations coordinator is in the process of reviewing and reworking our food program so that we can expand this list. But at this moment, unfortunately, these are the diets that we can accommodate. And then below here, you see that there's a list. This is not complete. These are some of the options that you'll have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As you can see, there's meat, vegan, and vegetarian options. I do also want to lift up that your food options will greatly vary depending on if your crew is placed in the front or in the back country. If you're placed in the back country, you're going to have more dehydrated than canned food. And this is simply because you will have to pack everything into the back country. Nothing with a wheel or motor is allowed in there. So everything's packed on your back. And that is why you'll have dehydrated food, because it weighs less than canned goods. None of this food is really going to be gourmet, but it will be tasty, healthy, and absolutely filling. You may even have the opportunity to try to cook a Dutch oven pizza, which I think looks pretty good. I did actually learn that the crust here is their tortillas and not an actual dough, which honestly makes sense. But if y'all do participate and end up tasting this, please let me know how it is, because I've heard rave reviews and I've heard not so rave reviews, so I'm very intrigued. Okay, so some of the things that give some, potential applicants a little bit of pause and honestly some anxiety at the front is the fact that we don't allow youth members to use their phone in the field. This is mostly because you're not going to have service out at your work site anyways. So your phone's going to be a dead brick. I do not recommend that you take it out into the field, even as a camera to take pictures for a couple of reasons. One, you're not going to have consistent access to adequate electricity so you can keep that sucker charged. And, you know, phone batteries aren't going to last you 5 weeks. And secondly, I really don't want your phone to get broken out in the elements for 5 weeks. So that being said, if you're traveling from out of the area or out of state, please bring your phone with you so we can work with you if there's any travel hiccups or anything like that. And so you can also let your friends and loved ones know that you've arrived safely. But once you have entered orientation, your cell phones will be collected and put in safekeeping until the end of your program or until you've left. We also don't allow phones for our youth members because we found that, you know, if you're constantly looking on your phone, you're not present, and it really just takes away from the experience of not only being outdoors, but of connecting with these other people who may have traveled thousands of miles to be part of this crew. And then for those of you who are wondering, oh, well, if I don't have my phone, what am I going to do in case of an emergency? We got you covered. So there's an emergency phone that a staff member will always have access to, and that is manned 24/7. Your emergency contacts will be given that phone number once you are accepted into the program. And then the crew leaders that you have out in the field with you, they also have cell phones for you to use and will contact anyone needed if there is an emergency. I also want to mention that those crew leader phones, members get to use those every weekend to call home. We can't guarantee how long that conversation will be, but you do have the opportunity to call home once a week, which is good. I do also recommend members bring some stationery, envelopes, and stamps. This is a really great time to write some letters. Maybe, you know, restart that pen pal exchange that you had in elementary school. And the last thing I want to say about the no phone zone is that we've actually had quite a few members come back to us after their session or even at graduation. And they're very, very thankful for the opportunity to disconnect from their phone. They have found so much more out about themselves, who they are, what they like, what they don't like, you know, just by being able to be present in the here now moment instead of always connected to your phone and everything that's out there. Okay, so the other thing that gives some people a little bit of pause is hygiene. So y'all have been camping before, I'm sure, you know that you don't really shower when you're camping. So when you're out in the field for 5 weeks, it's kind of the same thing. Depending on your location, you're going to shower about once a week and do laundry about once a week. If you're in the backcountry, it could be less frequently, just like I mentioned, depending on how far away from facilities you are. There is a cost to laundry and showering, which is the member's responsibility, but just like food, that's automatically withdrawn from your stipend, so there's no upfront costs. Yeah, so as you can see here, we like to joke the dirtier the better at Northwest Youth Corps. It's not going to matter if you're smelly and stinky, because I'll be just as smelly and stinky because I'm doing the same work as you are. We do want to bring up that if being clean is very important to you, please feel free to bring some wet wipes with you. That is absolutely allowable. Just be careful about bringing like heavily perfumed items, not only because other people may have allergies, but you're going out into the woods and you don't really want to attract critters who might be interested in that smell. So try to bring some unscented things. And I also do want to mention, unfortunately, our members are not allowed to swim while out on crew. If you are located near a body of water, you could maybe splash off or something, but you can't go swimming. You can wade up to your knees, I believe. But again, the dirtier the better. Everyone's going to be stinky, smelly, and sweaty. So, you know, there's no judgment. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about gear for our programs. The first 4 items, the boots, work gloves, shirts, pants, and water bottle, Those are required for both our community and our camping crew. Everything below the water bottle is specifically for our camping members. So obviously you're going to want to have, some closed-toed shoes. I would not want to wear my work boots during my off time, and we'll go over work boot requirements on the next slide. So definitely bring a pair of tennis shoes with you, definitely closed-toed and closed heel. So no flip-flops, no sandals, no Crocs, nothing like that. And then you're going to want to bring some clothes for around camp. Definitely bring some warm things. If any of you are familiar with the Pacific Northwest, it gets cold here at night, even in the middle of the summer. You're going to need a sleeping bag and a sleeping pad. We highly recommend a non-inflatable sleeping pad simply because you're going to be sleeping. Our tents don't have a bottom. And so the sleeping pad will not only protect your sleeping bag, but will really insulate you from the coldness of the ground. And then any toiletries that you bring, we do ask that you use travel size toiletries, just because space is super limited in the van. Same with sunscreen and bug spray. You're definitely going to want to bring those travel size. So the boots. Okay. We require our boots to have an ankle that is between 6 and 7 inches tall. This is for a couple of reasons. You're going to be working with some sharp and heavy metal tools, and you're going to be swinging those on the ground close to your lower shin and your ankles and your foot. If you, by any chance, happen to miss the ground, you're more likely going to end up hitting your shin, ankle, and or foot with this heavy metal tool. Having boots like the ones on the top of this slide here are going to really protect your ankle, basically all of your lower leg from the impact of that tool. It's still going to hurt, but it's going to hurt considerably less, and you will be more protected with boots like the ones on the top. So if you have hiking boots that match closer to the ones on the bottom, don't fret. These boots are widely available at a lot of outdoor sports stores and whatnot. However, if you're having difficulty finding them in your size for a price that you can afford, please reach out to us. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we do sometimes have year scholarships available for members, and we also have an inventory, a small inventory of boots that we can provide to you at a reduced cost. So if you're having some difficulty, please reach out to us and we can work with you to get you what it is that you need. All right, so I've talked a lot about, who we are, what it is that Northwest Youth Corps does, where you'll be working, the benefits of our program. If you're super interested and ready to apply, this is the slide for you. So our youth application is actually opening February 1st. It's not quite open yet. You will be able to, if you're interested, you can already log in and create a profile. That's honestly the first step to the application, is creating a profile and confirming your email address. You can go ahead and get that out of the way. And then once February 1st comes along, our electronic application will be open. If you would prefer a print application, please let us know. We can either email you the PDF version that you can print out yourself, or if you don't have access to a printer, we can snail mail you the actual application printed out for you. Both electronic and print are going to ask for the same things. They might be in slightly different order, but both applications are going to ask for not only your contact information, but the contact information for 3 emergency contacts. And they need to be 3 different people. We're also going to ask for some medical history information, just so we can be prepared to accommodate any issues you may experience out in the field. We're going to ask for criminal history, and then finally there are some essay questions. I think there's about 4. And honestly, we're really looking for about 3 to 5 sentences. We don't want anything, like a full essay or anything like that. We're just looking for a couple of sentences in response to the questions, just to kind of get to know you a little bit more. They're going to ask about your interests, what interests you in the program and things like that. Once your application is submitted, it will be reviewed by myself and or my coworker, Liz. She's the other youth recruitment coordinator. We'll reach out to you if there are any issues or if we have any questions. If there's no issues or questions, we'll reach out to you with an offer letter, which is really exciting. And then at that point, we'll start the onboarding process. I do want to again let you know their application is not quite yet open. And we don't technically have application deadlines, but I do urge you to apply sooner rather than later, as our spots are first come, first serve. So the sooner you get in your application, the more chances you have of actually getting into a crew. All right. So we all know that COVID-19 is still a very real and emergent health emergency here in the United States. And we at Northwest Youth Corps take this very seriously. We have youth and young adults from across the country coming to participate in our programs, as I've mentioned multiple times in this presentation. And we want to make sure that everyone is not only coming here healthy and safe, but they leave here healthy and safe as well. So our COVID task force, which is comprised of members of our leadership team and meets on the regular, has instituted the following safety protocols for all of our programs. Upon acceptance, with the offer letter, members will receive a COVID questionnaire. This questionnaire asks questions that will help us assess the applicant's risk to the program based on their exposure to essential workers and other people who may have a higher exposure rate to COVID. If there's no issues with that questionnaire, which needs to be turned in at least we have to have that 2 weeks before your orientation. If there's no issues with that, no news is good news. If there are any concerns or whatnot, we will reach out to you to address those. Like I said, no news is good news. If you don't hear back from us, we will expect you at orientation. And there will be a medical check there as well. We'll just swipe people's forehead to get their temperature. If crew members are exhibiting a low-grade fever of any kind or any other symptoms related to COVID, they will unfortunately not be allowed to enter into our program and will be sent home. If they've passed the medical check and enter into orientation, our crews begin to operate as family units at that point. So those assigned to Orange Crew will stay with the Orange Crew. Those assigned to Red will stay with Red, Blue with Blue, and so on. We are trying very hard to be intentional about who is placed in which crew and trying not to switch those assignments up as much as possible, just to keep family units as static as possible. Once members go out into the field, there will be daily temperature checks as well. Again, it's just going to be forehead swipe status or style. If a member comes down with a fever and COVID symptoms in the field, they will be required to get tested before they can return to the program and the crew. If for some reason they and/or their family do not want to get tested, that member will be required to leave the program and go home. If there is a positive COVID test for a crew member during session, the entire crew will quarantine, and at that point, our COVID task force and contracted physician will get involved as well to really flesh out the next steps. I am incredibly proud and happy to say, though, that with the implementation of the safety precautions before our 2020 season, our youth and young adult programs were able to run last year, and we had 0 COVID scares. So not only are we taking this seriously, but it's obvious that our applicants and members are taking this seriously as well, because this is an experience of a lifetime, and it's a really great opportunity. And it's something that we are very happy to still be able to provide in this very uncertain time. All right, so we're almost at the end of the presentation, and I just kind of want to go over, what is in it for you? Why should you apply to this Northwest Youth Corps program? You're going to earn high school credit. Whether you need it or not, this is really great. If you want to graduate early or if you need to catch up, earning 2 credits in 5 weeks is pretty awesome. You're going to experience a lot of new and beautiful, breathtaking places. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm pretty biased. I think it's some of the most beautiful land in the country. You're also going to make new friends. I know I've mentioned in this presentation that we have people from across the country come here. You spending 5 weeks, 24/7 with these people, you're really going to form tight, close, deep bonds with them. You're preparing for your future, not only by making some money, but you're getting hands-on experience. Conservation experience, like I mentioned, is incredibly valuable for these types of careers, and it's really going to be the foot in the door that you're looking for. And you're helping to make the Pacific Northwest a better place. We all live here. We recreate, we enjoy the, outdoors in many different ways, and giving back is just one way. Giving back through conservation programs is just one way to help others enjoy what we enjoy now. And then this is going to be the experience of a lifetime. Like I said, you're going to have so many different experiences that you might not have the opportunity to have outside of these programs. You're going to learn so much about yourself, whether you want to go into conservation programs or not, conservation careers or not. You're going to learn a lot of valuable job skills through these programs. As a former hiring manager for a department at the University of Oregon, I can promise you that, looking at student resumes, if someone had this program on their application, I would bring them into an interview over someone who doesn't, because participation in this program shows that you believe in something bigger than yourself. You're dedicated. You are good at working in a team. You have a very good work ethic. And that you're confident in yourself and you feel empowered to make change in this world. Our programs are amazing for everyone who's involved, and it will be an experience of a lifetime for you. Before we end, I just want to share this quick little video with you about some crew members who really enjoyed their time and just wanted to, help, others see that this is a really amazing program. So I hope you enjoy this short little video.
I could help nature, be on a team, do something physical and something good for the earth, and that'd be great. And this program had all the check marks.
Mud. What's happening?
Love the hard work.
Ready to get swole?
Beast mode! Beast mode! My dreams are coming true!
I'm pushing myself to travel to new places and meet new people.
I can't imagine having a job where I'm inside.
See, doesn't that look like so much fun? If I'd known about this program in high school, I'm pretty sure I would have done it. I think my video box is covering the quote at the top, so I just want to read it to y'all before I go to the final slide with my contact information. But Teddy Roosevelt, who I believe is actually one of the influential people who helped with the creation of Yellowstone National Park, which I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation, he has said that nothing in this world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. Northwest Youth Corps is very worth doing, and it is an experience that is absolutely worth having. If you are interested in applying or would like more information about our programs, my contact information, my coworker Liz Iverson, who's the other youth recruitment coordinator, her email is also listed here, as well as our general inquiry email. Our website is also here if you'd like to just go there and explore and look around a little bit. But yeah, this is the end of my presentation. I hope you all have learned a lot about Northwest Youth Corps, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, and have a great day.